My name is Tommy, and I will be refuting Alfonso's claim that California laws preventing undocumented immigrants from obtaining a driver's license is jeopardizing the safety of California drivers. His secondary claims are individuals driving without proper training and skills on our roads are jeopardizing our safety. The lack of proper insurance liability for undocumented drivers threatens the ability to cope with financial issues if drivers are uninsured. And the fear of deportation during traffic stops can trigger the domino effect, resulting in greater danger. Our response to his first claim about the proper training and skills is that in his first claim he says the driver's skill is unknown due to an inability to validate them, and he also says that they're unable to be assessed at the DMV. Well, if they're unable to be assessed, why would we give them a license to begin with? And he also said in his speech they're going to do it anyway, so that's even less of a reason to give them a license if they're going to do it anyway. According to Roger Simon, an immigrant analyst, he actually put the idea into my head that a driver's license is a way of identification and being official, and that it does give you access to build some certain buildings and traveling, which will result in weakened American security. Secondly, his second claim was the lack of proper insurance liability for undocumented drivers threatens the ability to cope with financial issues if drivers are uninsured. My response is that once again, if they're not even allowed to drive, why should we insure them? And if we do insure them, that's basically advocating a crime, which is driving without a license. However, according to autoinsurance.org, certain companies like Bristol West, Farmers Group, and Infinity PC do sell insurance to undocumented immigrants. But they also do state that illegal immigrants use insurance as an outage, which means that when they get pulled over, since they have insurance, the cops are more likely to let them go with a smaller fine instead of them actually getting arrested and deported. He does state that there are 20% higher premiums, and that they'll purchase insurance, but it's not them, it's through someone else. The 20% higher premiums are completely necessary because they're not even licensed drivers, which means they're more of a liability than even other high-risk drivers. He also states that it gives them financial problems, which is irrelevant because illegal immigrants' financial problems are not the United States problem to worry about. If their car gets towed, that's not relevant to the claim. His third claim is that fear of deportation on a routine traffic stop can trigger the domino effect, resulting in greater danger. Well, if the immigrants are so scared of getting deported that they should be safer when they drive, which would mean they would draw less attention to themselves. And I do understand that them fleeing the scene and causing greater danger is a possibility, but I see it as a vague what-if scenario with multiple possible solutions. Yeah, so overall, I'm saying that California laws don't affect safety of California drivers. Thank
Okay, the structural stuff starts off pretty well, and on the first point, you kind of basically say it's sort of a circular argument here, but I'm not sure that your argument clarifies why that makes it a meaningless argument. You do have this kind of secondary counterclaim that you present here, that there is a potential security risk as a consequence of that, and I think that might be a good argument if we were doing a claim of policy about whether or not we should give driver's licenses to undocumented workers or allow them to get access to the legal system there, that would be a negative consequence. But I'm not so sure that it talks about the jeopardy of other drivers. So its relevance is a little bit problematic. On the liability argument, you kind of come back to the circular issue again, and I think it's circular in both directions. I think you've got an interesting idea here about that some insurance companies do provide this insurance. I think it needs to be clarified a little bit what's going on here. In essence, you say, if they're lacking a license, then that increases the risk. That's the point that the advocate is making. So in essence, you're using the advocate's own point to support your position here, and that's a little bit confusing. The economic argument you basically dismiss. I think the way you want to dismiss it is not say that it's not our business, but the real question is, does it address the safety of other drivers, which is what the advocate's claim is. If it doesn't address that issue, then why are we paying attention to that? I don't give a crap about some illegal alien's car getting towed, which, is probably not going to endear you to the audience very much. Well, maybe it'll endear you to some people in the audience, but I think most people would say that's not really what the point was, and so be more direct there. And then on the last point, basically you're kind of running into the same issue that the advocate had, that there's not really much evidence on this particular point. I think you've got an interesting idea here that, look, they're talking about hypotheticals, people running away because they don't want to get caught, and you're talking about hypotheticals, people driving more carefully because they don't want to be identified. So I think that's an interesting point. If you had any evidence to contrast to the advocate's point, I think that would then be a stronger argument.